Hello, I am State Representative Jesse Johnson from the 30th Legislative District, which represents Federal Way, Auburn, Des Moines, Milton, Algona, and Pacific. I am sending my best to all of you attending the virtual National Association of Social Workers Washington Policy Conference. It's a shame that we can't be all together this year, but I'm excited to address you today. I work in the legislature on a variety of issues, primarily through my roles as Vice Chair of Public Safety and as a member of the Community and Economic Development and Appropriations Committees. Just a little bit about myself. I'm a lifelong Federal Way resident and a graduate of the University of Washington for both my bachelor's and master's of education. I have since worked as a high school, career and college counselor, as well as in workforce planning for Highline Public Schools. In 2017, I was elected the youngest city council member in Federal Way history at the age of 27, and now come to the legislature with values that are rooted in equity, inclusion, and social justice, partnerships with communities across South King County that have helped me focus my work on the people who are struggling and whose voices are often not heard in the halls of power. It is those values and that work that have led me to champion the issues of youth violence prevention, mental health services, and youth development in our K-12 system. But that's enough about me. I want to talk just for a few minutes about some of the work that's being done this year in the area of police reform and accountability. In the last year, communities across our country have experienced ongoing protests and a growing demand for our government to address the inherent racism in our current public safety systems. The highly publicized murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis sparked unprecedented nationwide and global activism and protests over racial discrimination in our criminal justice systems, especially against our Black community members. In our own Washington community, the list of Black people harmed by police violence grows every year. Violent interactions between law enforcement officers and community members has occurred for decades, but recently, these events have sounded another urgent call for a renewed and multifaceted approach to increase police accountability. This session, I have taken a leadership role on these issues. The House Policy Leadership Team on Policing includes myself, Chair Goodman, Representatives Intamin, Lovick, Ramos, Ty, and Rep. Lakanoff. We met with stakeholders for over 6 months to put forth a comprehensive package of bills that address police reform. I have sponsored 3 bills in these areas. Number 1 is Police Tactics, House Bill 1054. This bill sets a baseline standard for acceptable police tactics and equipment, including banning chokeholds and neck restraints, no-knock warrants, tear gas, concealing badge numbers, and restricting the use of shooting at moving vehicles, police dogs, and certain military equipment. Secondly, Community Oversight Boards, House Bill 1203. This bill creates community oversight boards as an essential way that we can bring about accountability to policing and rebuild trust between law enforcement and the communities that they serve. Finally, number 3, de-escalation and use of force, House Bill 1310. This replaces the current arrest law with a new statewide standard that limits the use of force to certain circumstances and also only allows deadly force to be used as a last resort. This bill also prioritizes de-escalation techniques and clarifies that when you use physical or deadly force, it is a last resort. We have centered the lived experiences of those who have lost loved ones to unnecessary police violence in our work. We all believe that preserving and protecting human life should be law enforcement's highest value. And by setting down a baseline of acceptable tactics and equipment, and then creating robust systems of accountability and transparency, we can begin to rebuild trust between law enforcement and the community. You all, each of you, also have a big role to play in the future of our state. Police violence in community is deeply intertwined with racial and economic injustice and mental illness. We shouldn't have first responders with weapons show up to the scene of a mental health crisis. My de-escalation bill instills a duty of care for every crime scene that police show up to, requiring that they must make every attempt at de-escalation. But we know the trauma that Black and Brown communities have experienced is also intergenerational. Addressing that trauma goes beyond changing our policing, but also society funding our social workers, public health, and education systems. Social workers like you all are vital to ensuring that justice and improving the well-being of our most vulnerable community members is at the first and paramount duty of our legislature. The work that you do is not only invaluable, not just to the communities that you serve, but also to the greater good we strive for. Because I believe in your work, I will support investing in the salaries and educational opportunities for our social workers, expanding our existing workforce education supports, and training more social workers with more financial aid. Investing in a skilled workforce is the only way that we can show that we are serious about ensuring incidents that require social workers, in fact, get one. But not only that, but that a law enforcement officer with little to no training is not the first responder. Through local and city government efforts to reimagine their policing procedures, I will work with lawmakers to ensure that appropriate safety measures are funded for social workers. This will be a bipartisan and a bicameral effort, and that communities have greater access to resources to help individuals that are transitioning from crisis into safe and stable living conditions. There's a lot that we need to do this year with the public health pandemic, with the racial reckoning, the economic uncertainty, but we never have enough money or time. I hope that this year will make a difference, not only in the changes to our official policies, but to how we invest in our communities and to the amazing social workers like you all that support and benefit so many people in the work that you do every day. Thank you so much for your time. Peace and blessings.